This is the Grand Banks GB54 and it's effectively a scaled down model of the rather brilliant GB60 that they brought out a few years ago. I'm going to start up here on the foredeck because what I love is this angle of this boat. I absolutely love the view of this imposing flybridge, the three windscreens, this really sort of purposeful foredeck and bow area. And up here you see an example of the quality of what Grand Banks are doing with this boat. So you have an ultramarine anchor, you have these nice substantial cleats either side, have your anchor locker here, it's on a nice gas strut so it holds itself up. You've even got teak down here. There is teak everywhere on this boat in the most surprising of places, and more of that later. The boat hook mount down here, deck wash, and obviously you see the chain gathers in there nice and neatly. It's all really well done. You expect practicality, usability from Grand Banks, and that is evident on board this boat. You no longer have teak on the bulwarks. Two reasons for that really. It's easier for owners and crew to maintain, and also it's slightly better for the environment. So you have this sort of coloured gel coat up here, which looks really, really smart actually. You just see how substantial these cleats are. They're absolutely lovely, and they've got these stainless steel bases as well, and you've got a stainless steel rubbing strake too, so that the ropes don't rub on the gel coat down there. It's a really safe boat to move around. The side decks are really wide. You can walk 1 foot in front of the other, absolutely no problem. There's a few level changes, but the steps are nice and shallow, and you've got good guardrails all around. And then towards the aft end, you have a bit of shelter overhead and these coamings above, and there's lights in them as well, so you can see nice and easy at night time when you're moving around the boat. Then we head into the cockpit, and that's where the teak starts. You're going to have teak all the way around the deck. This particular boat hasn't got that option, but you can have teak throughout if you want. And this is a really nice, spacious cockpit. You have this wet bar out here. It does feel sort of very American. It's a cockpit-centric boat. You might go fishing here, have lunch here. You've got this double-sized table, really beautifully finished. Obviously that folds out, so it's twice the size, and you have space to have some directors' chairs at this end and either end of the table, so that you can sit more people around here if you want to eat down here. You've got some cooling space here, you've got your ice maker, sink obviously. Under here it's access to the water tanks, a bit of storage, have the same on both sides. And actually if you have a crew cabin option, which they're working on at the moment, the crew cabin will be under here, and through these hatches is how you'd have access to the crew cabin. But let's stay on deck and we'll head up to the flybridge. I really like these steps, how they're sort of integrated, and also nice wide safe treads. Plenty to hold on to as you make your way up to the flybridge. The 60 has a fully enclosed flybridge option, like a proper interior. The GB54 is open but with a really substantial hardtop. This is the upper helm here. You have this pair of fully adjustable STID helm chairs, very, very comfortable and endlessly movable, so you can get very comfortable. And then you have obviously a centrally located helm position with a really great view forward. You're in the middle of the boat, got a nice view over that bow. If it's a rough day, you can really pick your way through the waves nice and easily. Twin Garmin MFDs up here. This boat's got bow and stern thruster, and it also has got the Humphrey Interceptor trim system. Moving aft, this nice wrap of seating here. Again, beautiful table. The woodwork is just fabulous on this boat, and the varnishing and the finish of that is delightful. Right opposite the wet bar here, this one's got a fridge down here. And actually the wet bar is split on this boat, so you have cooling space, storage, sink over to this side, and then aft you have your grill. American style, totally separate grill. You've got two different grills, hot plate and a grill here, and the most powerful gas rams I've ever experienced. They are really, really, really chunky, but that sort of exemplifies the way this boat is built. Everything is super substantial, super high quality. Bit of storage in here. Same this side. Nice to see even woodwork here inside the cupboards. And the point about the grill being back here is that it's away from your guests. So, you know, cooking smells are moving away from the boat. They're not next to the table. It's quite a nice position to have it in. And then behind me, this is where on this boat they have tender storage. Obviously that's lifted in and out of the flybridge with the crane. It means the bathing platform's nice and clear. And obviously if you want to use this space, you can put the tender in and use it as a bit more living space. So we head back down. notice as you walk into the saloon is that these glass windows slide down into the bulkheads. So that really opens up this area. It means you get some nice ventilation. Obviously it means there's a better link between the saloon and the cockpit. It's not a sliding door, so you can't slide the doors to one side like you would on as a traditional flybridge maybe, but because you've got those opening windows, you've still got that line of communication, and crucially, you've got ventilation. And it is very traditional here, but again, it is beautifully done. Everything is so solid, so robust, feels very, very classy. And again, they haven't forgotten the practical things. You've got a long and very substantial handhold above your head that runs almost the entire length of this saloon, so you can steady yourself on this. You're moving through the boat when it's out at sea. This, incidentally, is where the television pops down from. You know, no pop-up TV here, but you just undo these catches, the TV swings down, and that's where your television is by this dunette. And this is actually a change to the usual layout. This owner wanted this quite simple L-shaped arrangement. What you'd normally have is two small sofas opposite each other with a table in the middle, a sort of small like breakfast dinette almost, opposite the main dinette, which sounds like, why do you need two? It's a bit of a waste of space, but the 60 I tested had that, and it worked really nicely. It just creates a really nice sociable area. You can have the galley below decks on this boat or up here like this one is, and this is quite nice I think, because it means that if you're on long cruises, which this boat can absolutely do, you are next to the helm if you want to make a cup of tea or prepare some food. You can still be on watch, you're still very close to the wheel, and you have everything very close to where you're driving the boat from. Cooling space here. It's not a domestic size fridge freezer, but you've got these big drawer cooling spaces. This is really nice, isn't it? You've got the built-in knife block, you've got specific spots for your cutlery, everything is on nice soft close runners. Yeah, it really is a quality item. Cooking over here, merely microwave oven, and your induction hob. More storage under here. Yeah, I think it works really nicely having this opposite the galley. Some markets like to have the galley down below, and we'll talk about how that changes the configuration later on. And then you're to the lower helm, and this is a really fantastic space. The helm seat is absolutely lovely. This is super, super, super soft leather, and it's nice that it's a bench, but it also has a split bolster. So if the driver wants to sit and the passenger wants to lean, they can. They don't both have to sit the same way. Got a footrest down here as well, traditional sort of ship's wheel, and again, two big Garmin MFDs which host most of the boat's information. A teak on the helm, leather finish. Yeah, the quality really does shine through, and it's lovely to have this side door here, both for ventilation, because once you've got those aft windows open, it means breeze can flow through the boat, but of course it means you can also get out onto the side decks really easily and communicate with your crew. This is where you find the switchboard, breaker panel, all really neatly arranged. This is where you switch between generator or shore power. Everything is really clearly labelled and close to the helm and in a spot that's easy to get to. And then if we move downstairs, what you don't have on this boat is a full beam midships cabin. So if you have the galley down version, this cabin here would be replaced with the galley, but on this boat you have a single cabin here. It's also a bit of a utility space because you have the washer dryer here, a bit more storage, the little desk as well, so you can use it as a study, but quite a flexible and helpful third cabin here. And this boat actually has a change from the standard layout. This is normally a twin cabin here on the starboard side. This boat's got a double, which is actually quite nice. Obviously you can only get in from one side, but it's a decent sized bed and nice to have a double bed in here. And then this is actually en suite to the day heads. And the finish in here is absolutely lovely, even down to the wooden toilet seat. Spacious too. Plenty of headroom in here. And obviously you have access back out to the main lobby through this door here. More storage. Can't have enough on a boat like this that is probably going to cover some serious miles. People could live on board for long periods of time, so storage is absolutely key. And this is the master cabin right here, forward in the bow. And the finish is absolutely wonderful. Just look at the grain in this wood here and the way it meets at the centre. All perfectly in line. It's absolutely beautiful. The portholes look great from the outside, but they're quite slim, so they don't let huge amounts of natural light in. You have got a hatch overhead, Obviously that's got the blind across at the moment, so you can get a bit more natural light in that way, but the portholes are quite slim. But again, storage absolutely everywhere. This side dotted around at eye level. And nice at the head of the bed you've got somewhere with a charging point where you can plug a phone in, you've got a reading light. It does feel like a home from home actually. It's got a very cosy feel. Television mounted on the wall here, and this cabin has a private ensuite with a decent separate shower cubicle of its own, and there is some ventilation in here so you can let the steam out if you're having a shower. Move back through, and then we'll get to one of my favourite parts of this boat, and that is the machinery space. And that is accessed here in the cockpit. Massive hatch and two big gas rams, and then you sort of climb across, and then once you're on the right side, access is absolutely superb because it's nice shallow steps down into this enormous lazarette, which is absolutely fantastic for storage. As I said, you know, could be a liveaboard cruiser, this thing, people will be on for a long time, so just having space to store stuff is so helpful. And you've got really good access to all the ancillaries as well down here. And then you're into the engine room proper. And when I said earlier there's teak absolutely everywhere, well, amazingly that includes the engine room. I mean, I've seen cabins finished to a lower standard than this engine room. It is absolutely extraordinary. So neat and tidy, brilliantly laid out, easy to get to everything, well lit, and access is really very impressive, and it's just the level of finish is pretty astonishing. Now this boat's got the pair of 725 horsepower Volvo painted D11s on shaft drives, but you can have this boat with IPS. The shaft drive version will do 30 knots flat out and has a cruising range at speed of around 470 nautical miles. The IPS version, the most powerful IPS 950, will do 33 knots. So performance is good, and you've got a nice wide cruising band on this boat. So we'll finish where we started up at the bow. That is the Grand Banks GB54, a beautifully made, very high quality cruising machine. You pay for it though, it's $2.95 million excluding VAT. However, it really is the creme de la creme when it comes to finish and cruising ability for this size of boat. I hope you enjoyed this tour of the Grand Banks GB54. If you did, please give it a like, and remember to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you're notified every time we upload a new video. Cheers, I'll see you on the next one.